can contribute to whoever you want, and the hope is that they're going to know that you want certain priorities.
He literally tweeted to the members of Congress.
The oldest profession on earth.
You don't have to touch me.
Is not.
He literally tweeted to these members, "Thank you for doing this." I don't want you to touch me. That's my personal space.
I won't ever do it again.
Thank you. But he literally.
What's happening, everybody? Yesterday, Kevin O'Leary, known as Mr. Wonderful to Shark Tank fans, joined the panel on CNN's Newsnight with Abby Phillip. The topic of discussion was the recent vandalism of Teslas, Tesla dealerships, and charging stations by the left. Both Kevin O'Leary and Shermichael Singleton successfully dominated the arguments of the ill-prepared Democrats. However, the conversation was overshadowed by a viral moment where legal analyst and all-around bad person Angela Rhee snapped at Kevin O'Leary over absolutely nothing. Anyway, let's watch Kevin O'Leary destroy a bunch of liberals despite having to contend with a crazy person sitting next to him. Let's go.
Tesla stock is way down, almost disastrously so. People have been vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't vandalize, don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so
I know it's a dark time, but I was saying on my phone, I don't know if some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping.
Now, I just want to be clear. No one at this table condones violence, right? Setting cars on fire, breaking windows, whatever, all of that is bad. But the question is, I mean, is it okay for an American company to just be hated, for people to want it to not do well?
I think, go back to point one. When you set a car on fire, you should go to jail. You're a criminal.
Any car,
I don't think we have to
actually.
talk about it in
not
any
just
other
Tesla.
context. And all those cars have cameras in them, and those dealerships have cameras. You're beyond being stupid when you do that. You're going to go to jail, and you now have a government that just got their mandate. They can't wait to find idiots that do this. You're going to spend 5 to 20 years in prison. If they get them on terrorism, which I think is a stretch, they will have no parole, no shortened sentence. They'll rot in hell in prison for 20 years. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, that's okay. Breaking in, shooting a car, setting on fire, nothing to do with the politics, nothing to do with Tesla. You are a criminal, and you should go
What about the broader
to jail.
question about the protest factor? I mean, you heard Tim Walz.
What protest? You're a criminal.
I'm talking about Tim Walz and his comments about the Tesla stock. He says it gives him a boost to see that stock going down.
That poor guy didn't check his portfolio and his own pension plan for state. It's beyond stupid what he did. He's talking down a 3.5% weighting in his own pension plan. I mean, what's the matter with that guy? He doesn't check the well-being of his own constituents in his state.
I mean,
that's their investment fund.
Point,
what a bozo.
The Minnesota Tesla State Board of Investment, they have 1.6 million shares in Tesla in their retirement fund, 211,000 shares in a non-retirement fund. It's a relatively small amount, but that's one company, one single stock, and that's because Tesla is a huge part of the tech growth. But this is not the first time that companies have been in the crosshairs of protests. I mean, Republicans have protested companies all the time.
So this really is a great debate all around, and there's more fireworks to come. But just to get out of the way, I'd like to comment real quick on the clip that I played during the coming up part. In case you didn't see it, it's real short. Just watch this.
And the hope is that they're going to know that you want certain priorities.
He literally tweeted to the members of Congress.
The oldest profession on earth.
You don't have to touch me.
Is not.
He literally tweeted to these members, "Thank you for doing this." I don't want you to touch me. That's my personal space.
I won't ever do it again.
Thank you. But
so that little interaction makes me cringe to the depths of my soul. It makes me angry, frustrated, annoyed for so many reasons. Oh, yeah, by the way, the reason I'm just kind of commenting on this as a one-off is because it was part of this panel, but everything kind of in between it and the clips we're going to watch was kind of a snooze fest. So I just wanted to address this. So Angela Rhee obviously responded that way to Kevin O'Leary, not because he did anything inappropriate, but because that's the type of person she is. Rude, classless, and self-important. That's it. But I'll play devil's advocate. Even if I give her the complete benefit of the doubt and take it at face value and say to myself, you know what? She's got an issue with being touched that's personal to her for whatever reason. And the reason isn't my business. If you're in a work environment and had a problem with someone's behavior like she did there, again, assuming that it's a legitimate, kind of phobic thing for her, right? Wouldn't the professional thing to do to be to pull that person to the side after the show and say, hey, don't take this the wrong way, but I have a problem with people invading my personal space. I want you to know that I understand that you had no malintent, but I'd appreciate it if you don't touch me in the future. Then I'd say you've respectfully set boundaries. And if unwanted behavior continued to be a problem, then I can see having a cross or rude reaction. Not that there's ever an excuse for that, but I could understand why in the heat of the moment someone would respond that way. I have so much more I want to say about it, but I know you guys want to watch the clip and not hear me talk, so let's get back to the video.
Let's play some of the button. What's the difference between that and Tim Walz saying, I get a kick out of it?
First of all, Tim Walz is a complete moron to me. I have to be very honest, and I'm not surprised why the American people did not choose him. Nothing against the vice president. With that said, Elon Musk employs 80,000+ Americans. Most of them are working class people. The implications of the stock, let's say this were to continue on for another year, so I'm just throwing out a hypothetical. Will the company at some point have to decrease its workplace? Most of those people, I would imagine, probably vote for Democrats, at least some of them. So now you're impacting people who likely share your worldview because you disagree with Elon Musk. Don't buy the car. Just like those guys are saying, let's protest Anheuser-Busch, et cetera. We're just not going to buy their beer. I'm okay with that. But destroying public property, there is no place for that. I agree with Kevin. Lock them up and set an example that this is not what we're going to tolerate in this country.
The other side of this coin is a company like Ben & Jerry's. The CEO says that he was fired because, Ben & Jerry's, they put out a political statement about virtually everything. And they've been pretty, strident against a lot of the things.
Did you hear Abby Phillips' question to Shermichael Singleton? What's the difference between Bud Light and Tesla? I'm not talking about the violence. Well, that's the difference, Abby. If that's all you want to talk about, then let's all end the show and grab a bite, because that's the difference. That's the answer to your question. Anything else? So Donald Trump's administration has to nip this behavior in the bud and track down every single person that's committing these crimes and show the world and our country, we aren't going to tolerate this behavior. This isn't like the BLM riots where very few people were charged or convicted for horrific violence. Look, this is a free country, but we do have laws. And you have the freedom to express your frustration, disagreement, anger, or whatever with the government in any way you want. Just know the second you start breaking the law, there will be consequences. Make no mistake, the Democrat politicians and the party in general enjoys this chaos. But the bad news for these protesters, if you can even call them that, is that the Democrat Party has ADHD. They'll move on to something new to bitch about soon, and all of your activism will be forgotten about. You'll stay in jail, and no cavalry's coming this time to save you like Kamala did in Minnesota. I'll be curious when they're sitting in jail after all this outrage is blown over, if their cause was worth it to them. And I guarantee that the vast majority of these people doing the vandalizing, A, haven't been affected one bit by the government cuts, and B, aren't even really sure why they don't like Tesla and Elon Musk. Think about it. Nobody with anything good going on is going to risk their freedom, job, family, etc. to vandalize something because of Elon Musk. They're clearly not the sharpest folks in our society that are doing this. So do you think they've gotten these ideas on their own? These ideas are put into their heads by politicians and people like Angela Rhee that are turning this into something that it's not. But even over that cringy moment that we watched earlier, coming up next is probably my favorite part, because Angela Rhee's having a conversation that no one else is having, and it's pretty comical. You should get some laughs. Check it out.
The other side of this coin is a company like Ben & Jerry's. The CEO says that he was fired because, you know, Ben and Jerry's, they put out a political statement about virtually everything. And they've been pretty, strident against a lot of the things happening in the Trump administration. If it is true that he was fired for that reason, what do you say to that?
I think it's remarkably unfair. Shout out to Ben and Jerry's because they've taken some really incredible stances. We're talking about people who should be locked up and go to jail. It's the same party that's rooting for and seeking a pardon for Derek Chauvin. It is so rich to me to see that folks don't understand when folks use their platforms of privilege to ensure that the least of these among us have a voice in the process. I don't condone violence, but I wish people would take a look in the mirror and see what's actually happening. This is not an America First company. It's a South African First company. That's what Tesla is. But this is the same party that talks about America First and make America great again, but they're giving someone unfettered access who is an immigrant. And if you leave it to this party to talk about, there's no space for immigrants.
Okay.
No. Some of us are here by force.
Some of us are lesser immigrants?
No, you're right. That's exactly what y'all think. That's exactly what y'all think.
He's a lesser immigrant?
No. What I'm saying is...
He's tainted because he's from South Africa and he's really brilliant?
You know what is so funny about that? Y'all are also the party of the birtherism movement.
Wow, he's a tainted immigrant.
No. That's what you all would have liked to say about Barack Obama.
Where do I fit? I'm Irish Lebanese. Am I like second class or where am I?
You tell me. Ask your party.
Wow.
I mean,
I didn't know.
There's not. Angela's entitled to her views. There's not a single person in terms of leadership in the Republican Party who wants to get Derek Chauvin out of prison. That was a ludicrous idea that came out from some people who are on social media who are podcast hosts. Number two, Elon Musk's company is an American company. Now, you don't like his views. I respect that. You're entitled to that.
It's not just about me not liking his
but it
views.
is an American company, Angela, that employs a lot of American people.
That's true.
Black, white, Latinos,
I'm not
Republican,
You guys
Democrat.
are misunderstanding my point. The point is the hypocrisy inside the GOP. I'm not rooting for the demise of the company. I'm asking for there to be fairness across the aisle about how we see immigration, that we don't prefer South African refugees, as they're now being called, when their land was stolen, as some of your party are saying right now. Derek Chauvin is not just a random podcast idea. This is also the party that wanted to get rid of the Department of Justice police database for transparency and accountability when crimes were committed against American people.
And on the Derek Chauvin point, I mean, the question was asked by a conservative reporter.
And the White House said no. I mean, why are we even debating this? I mean, the White House
We're debating it because this is what the party is about.
She's unbelievable. Some things I guarantee that you did not have on your bingo card for a conversation about vandalizing Teslas was that the Republican Party wants to pardon Derek Chauvin, the birtherism movement, apartheid in South Africa as a way to bring race into the conversation. And then finally, and my favorite, some of us were brought here by force. Who are you talking about? You? What? But let's give credit where credit is due. This story is about attacks on Tesla. Do you know how creative you have to be to turn it into a conversation about race? But in fairness, I mean, that is her passion project: race hustling, race baiting, oppression, marginalized communities. So she's well versed in those topics. Angela Rhee is the epitome of someone that thinks she's important and needs other people to think what she says is important. But at the end of the day, she's just not and never will be. She doesn't realize that the only reason, I want to be very clear about this, the only reason she's ever invited on a show is because the shows know that it's likely they'll get a viral clip when she's on their program. Why do they think that? Because she is a perpetual victim that is offended by everything and truly believes that, despite all the success she's had, everyone in the world and the system are out to get her because she's that important. So these shows know that something, and they never know exactly what it will be, but something will trigger her and they'll get a nice clip out of it. This broad is never in the news for her brilliant political takes. She's in the news because she's whining about something, screaming racism, hating on the GOP, which, by the way, she has a full-blown hate boner for, or being offended by something. Can you imagine how miserable it must be to walk around thinking that you're so special that everyone around you is focused on you and out to get you. She doesn't realize that folks have their own stuff to worry about, and that the only time normal people are paying attention to her, it's because they're rolling their eyes or laughing at her in clips like this and videos like mine. But what do you guys think about the left's unwillingness to condemn this violence against Tesla? What do you think about Kevin O'Leary and Shermichael Singleton's performances in these debates? And let me know if I'm justified with my irritation of Angela Rhee, or if it's something specific to me and I need to look inward and figure out why she annoys me so much. Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching like crazy, insane, far left wackos like Angela Rhee get owned by people with normal brains, then click on one of the videos that's about to pop up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, I've got the best viewers on the planet. I genuinely appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. It means the world to me. Never forget, Jesus loves you. I'll see you guys.